Welcome to the second in a series of frontline online events marking 30 years since the end of the Soviet Union. My name is James Rodgers, and this is a subject which is very dear to me, both professionally and personally. My first international assignment as a journalist was to Moscow in June 1991, at the beginning of what turned out to be the last summer of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. I reflected on that in my recent book, Assignment Moscow, reporting on Russia from Lenin to Putin, which also includes the reflections of a lot of other correspondence from that early post-Soviet period.
I'm still shocked by it now, that the Russians took us in to a city they'd completely leveled, and said, look what we've got. They created a desert and called it peace. It's a classic example of that. They'd leveled Grozny. There wasn't a building, as you remember, that was left standing, and there were thousands of people, perhaps many thousands of people that had been hiding from the horrific barrage in cellars in those buildings. And I still don't really know, and I've not seen any real reporting on what happened to those people. They just sort of get up and get on with their lives. I hope they did. A lot of people did, obviously, but a lot of them were just never accounted for.
It's terrible. On personal level, it can be very dangerous. As you rightly mentioned, while I was reporting from Crimea, I ended up in the wrong part of the field around the Ukrainian base, and I had to go through mock execution. I was quite fortunate to end up alive, but that was really, really serious. So, they questioned us for a while. They blindfolded us for a while. They still couldn't believe, I ended up there occasionally. There was a danger of me being raped. So eventually I managed to convince them it's not a good idea to do that. But in the end, they said, listen, we'll let you go because we're too busy at the moment. And maybe it's a bad idea to kill you at the moment, but we'll see you in Moscow. We'll see you in Moscow, and we'll get things done later on. It's very hard for us because if you're a Russian citizen, in a way, you have nowhere to go. They can always get you, and at least that sits at the back of your mind.
Putin has certainly won and gained in terms of personal prestige, and I completely agree with Matthew here that there's a lot about symbols, a lot about wanting respect personally, but also I guess for Russia. But to what extent is that a gain for Russia in the long term? Even the annexation of Crimea, that is often portrayed as this massive victory and so on. What has Russia gained ultimately? It is quite isolated from a lot of important actors in the world, although some other countries might look up to Russia again in a certain way. But also, in addition to the aggressive foreign policy, like Olga has said, there also is quite a lot in terms of aggressive domestic policy. So it's actually the Russian population and so on that lose out the most from the securitization of all aspects of life, restrictions on freedom of information and so on. Of course, journalists affected. I know more the academic side, young academics that can't really carry out the kind of research that they want to do.